Imagine waking up tomorrow to a world where cancer melts away, with engineered cells hunting it down like microscopic assassins. Where AI doesn't just answer questions, but actually thinks, plans, and rewrites entire industries overnight. Where batteries made from common table salt power your electric car for 500 kilometers without ever catching fire. And where solar panels hitting 35% efficiency turn your roof into a power plant that pays you. What if I told you 2026 isn't just another year on the calendar? It's the year science broke reality itself. These aren't sci-fi dreams or futuristic fantasies. These are real breakthroughs happening right now in labs across the world. Discoveries so powerful, they're rewriting the rules of what's possible. From gene editing miracles, saving babies with custom-designed therapies, to quantum computers merging with AI to solve problems classical supercomputers couldn't crack in 10 to the 25th years. From brain chips letting paralyzed people control computers with pure thought, to sodium batteries ending our addiction to rare lithium forever. Buckle up, because these aren't dreams. They're the top 10 scientific discoveries of 2026 that are changing everything. We're counting down the breakthroughs that scientists predicted, researched for decades, and finally delivered. These aren't random inventions or hype-filled press releases. We're talking about peer-reviewed studies published in Nature, billion-dollar commercial deployments by companies like CATL and Oxford PV, FDA breakthrough device designations for technologies like Neuralink, and clinical trials involving thousands of patients showing unprecedented results. From the world's first personalized CRISPR gene therapy, saving a baby's life at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, to China's Alloangi achieving a world record 34.85% efficiency in solar cells certified by Andreil, to Google demonstrating a 13,000 times speedup over the Kogo, world's fastest supercomputer, using just 65 qubits. These discoveries span quantum leaps in computing, life-saving biotech miracles, energy revolutions that could end fossil fuel dependence, and AI systems that can truly think and act autonomously. We'll dive into how they work, why they matter, and how they're going to flip your world upside down. From your medicine cabinet to your power grid, from the devices in your pocket to the thoughts in your head, nothing will be the same. Welcome to Factopia, where we don't just report science, we unleash it. We dig into the discoveries that textbooks will study decades from now, the breakthroughs happening in labs while you're scrolling social media, the innovations that separate today from tomorrow. If you're the kind of person who gets excited when human knowledge takes a giant leap forward, if you love understanding how things work rather than just reading headlines, then smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We've got more mind-bending science coming every single week, from space mysteries to quantum physics, from genetic engineering to artificial intelligence, from climate solutions to consciousness itself. Let's dive in. Number 10 on our countdown. Solar panels just broke physics. Or at least, they broke what we thought was physically possible. For decades, silicon solar cells hit a wall around 26% efficiency. That's the Shockley-Queisser limit, a fundamental barrier based on the physics of how silicon absorbs light. Scientists have tried everything to break through, but silicon alone couldn't do it. Until 2026. In April 2025, China's LONGi Solar achieved something remarkable: 34.85% efficiency in a perovskite silicon tandem solar cell, certified by the U.S. National Renewable Energy Laboratory. By 2026, this technology is hitting commercial production. Oxford PV in the UK shipped its first commercial tandem modules, achieving 24 to 27% efficiency to utility customers. Companies like Trina Solar hit 30.6% in residential panels. But here's what makes this revolutionary. It's not just about lab records anymore. These cells are being manufactured at scale, installed on real roofs, powering real homes. The breakthrough uses two layers: a silicon bottom cell that captures long-wavelength light, and a perovskite top layer that grabs the high-energy short wavelengths. Together, they harvest photons across the entire spectrum that silicon alone couldn't touch. Perovskites are crystal materials that can be manufactured cheaply from abundant elements. What makes them special? They can be tuned to absorb different wavelengths of light just by adjusting their composition. Scientists engineered perovskites with band gaps between 1.67 and 1.75 electron volts, perfect for capturing the blue and green light that silicon misses. The challenge was stability. Early perovskites degraded when exposed to moisture, oxygen, and heat. But researchers at universities and companies worldwide cracked the code, adding elements like cesium and rubidium, using specialized coatings, developing vapor deposition techniques that create ultra-uniform films even on textured silicon surfaces. By 2026, these cells can survive 2,000 hours under continuous illumination in damp heat tests, retaining 90% of their performance. What does this mean for you? A typical home solar installation that generates 10 kilowatts with old silicon panels can now generate 13 to 14 kilowatts with the same roof space. That's 30 to 40% more power from the same area. In places where roof space is limited, that's the difference between covering 80% of your electricity needs versus achieving energy independence. For utility-scale solar farms, higher efficiency means more power per acre, which slashes land costs and reduces environmental impact. For off-grid communities in developing nations, portable solar arrays become genuinely viable alternatives to diesel generators. For electric vehicles, solar roofs can extend range without adding weight. This breakthrough could make solar the cheapest form of energy in human history, cheaper than coal, cheaper than natural gas, cheap enough to power desalination plants that turn oceans into drinking water, cheap enough to run carbon capture plants that literally reverse climate change. By breaking the efficiency barrier, 2026 marks the year renewable energy stopped being an alternative and started being the obvious choice. Analysts project the solar market will grow from $1.1 billion in 2025 to $7 billion by 2036. Countries are racing to build manufacturing capacity. China leads with companies like LONGi and CATL, but the UK's Oxford PV and startups across Europe and North America are scaling up. Energy is evolving, but what about energy storage? That's where number 9 comes in. And trust me, you're going to want to hear about the battery revolution that's making lithium look obsolete. Goodbye blackouts. Hello energy independence. But wait until you see what's powering your future. Number 9. Your next electric car might run on table salt. Seriously, for decades, lithium-ion batteries ruled everything. Your phone, your laptop, electric vehicles, power grids. But lithium has problems. It's rare, mined in only a handful of countries, prices swing wildly, and the batteries can catch fire. In 2026, that monopoly is ending. CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer, announced at their December 2025 supplier conference that sodium-ion batteries are entering mass production in 2026, not lab prototypes, not pilot projects. Full-scale commercial deployment across passenger vehicles, commercial trucks, energy storage systems, and battery swap networks. Their next-generation sodium-ion batteries achieve 175 watt-hours per kilogram energy density and can deliver 500-kilometer range in passenger vehicles. BYD, another Chinese giant, is deploying sodium-ion batteries in grid-scale storage. American startup Peak Energy is installing them in utility systems. In China, scooter maker Yadia launched 4 sodium-powered two-wheeler models in 2025, with battery swapping stations opening in cities like Shenzhen. Sodium-ion batteries work almost identically to lithium-ion. They shuttle ions between 2 electrodes through an electrolyte, but sodium is everywhere. It's the 6th most abundant element on Earth. You can extract it from seawater or common salt deposits. No mining wars, no geopolitical conflicts over resources. The breakthrough came from material science. Researchers engineered cathodes using layered oxides and Prussian white compounds, anodes using hard carbon that can accommodate sodium's larger ionic radius, and solid-state electrolytes containing sulfur and chlorine that conduct ions efficiently without the fire risk of liquid electrolytes. By 2026, these cells pass China's strict GB 380312025 safety standard for electric vehicle batteries. Here's what makes them game-changing. They operate from -40 to +70 degrees Celsius. Lithium-ion batteries lose massive capacity in extreme cold, but sodium-ion batteries laugh at winter. They're safer, with solid-state versions that cannot thermally run away or catch fire. They charge faster. And they're cheaper, with IRENA projecting costs could drop to $40 per kilowatt-hour, compared to lithium's $100 to $150. MIT Technology Review named sodium-ion batteries one of the 10 breakthrough technologies of 2026. The global market is shifting from early commercialization to scaled deployment, with analysts projecting exponential growth through 2030 as the technology finds its way into passenger and commercial vehicles beyond just low-range applications. This is the battery revolution we've been waiting for. Electric vehicles that don't explode, that work in Minnesota winters and Arizona summers, that cost 30% less to manufacture, built from materials that won't run out and don't require mining operations that scar the planet. CATL calls it a dual-star approach. Sodium and lithium batteries shining brightly together, each serving different needs. Lithium for premium long-range EVs. Sodium for everything else. City cars, delivery vehicles, scooters, bikes, stationary storage. Electric everything, without the boom, without the resource wars, without the supply chain nightmares. But batteries power devices. What if we could power the devices that write the software itself? That's where number 8 takes us into the world of AI that builds AI. Number 8. Anyone can now build an app. Anyone. Even if you've never written a single line of code in your life. In 2026, AI coding tools evolved beyond autocomplete suggestions and syntax helpers into full autonomous development partners. GitHub Copilot, Cursor, Replit, and dozens of other tools powered by advanced language models can now write entire applications from natural language descriptions, debug complex systems, refactor legacy codebases, and deploy production-ready software with minimal human intervention. But it's not just about writing code faster. These AI systems understand architecture, design patterns, security best practices, and performance optimization in ways that would take human developers years to master. They can work across dozens of programming languages simultaneously, translate between frameworks, and even identify potential bugs before the code ever runs. Companies are reporting 40 to 60% productivity gains in software development. Startups that would have needed teams of 10 engineers can now build with 3. Solo developers are shipping products that would have taken months in just days. The barrier to entry for creating software has collapsed. These systems are built on transformer models, trained on billions of lines of open-source code, Stack Overflow discussions, documentation, and real-world software repositories. They've learned not just syntax, but the patterns of good software engineering, how to structure an app, when to use which data structures, how to handle edge cases, how to write tests that actually catch bugs. What makes 2026 special is the shift to agentic behavior. These aren't just code completion tools anymore. They read autonomous agents that can understand a high-level goal, like build me a food delivery app and break it down into tasks, design the database schema, create the API endpoints, build the front-end interface, implement user authentication, add payment processing, write automated tests, deploy to the cloud. GitHub reports that in 2025, AI-generated code accounted for over 40% of code commits on its platform. By 2026, that number is approaching 60%. Universities are restructuring computer science curricula because memorizing syntax is irrelevant when AI handles implementation details. The new skills: prompt engineering, architecture design, understanding AI limitations, verifying and testing AI-generated code. This is democratizing innovation at a scale we've never seen. A high school student in Bangladesh with an idea can now build and launch a startup without learning to code. A scientist with a breakthrough theory can create simulation software without hiring a development team. An artist can build interactive experiences without understanding JavaScript. Software is eating the world, and AI is writing the software. The explosion of applications, tools, and platforms we're seeing in 2026 is just the beginning. Every industry is being rebuilt by people who previously couldn't participate in the software revolution. But here's the thing. Coding AI is powerful, but it's still running on classical computers. What happens when AI meets quantum computing? That's number 7, and it's where things get truly mind-bending. We're talking about solving problems that would take today's supercomputers longer than the age of the universe. Number 7. Quantum computers just passed the point of no return. They're no longer just expensive science experiments. They're solving real problems that classical supercomputers physically cannot solve. In October 2025, Google demonstrated a 13,000 times speedup over the Frontier supercomputer, the world's fastest classical machine, using just 65 qubits for physics simulations. In late 2025, Google's Willow chip achieved exponential error suppression, meaning the more qubits they add, the lower the error rate gets. This breaks through a barrier that's plagued quantum computing for 30 years. By 2026, quantum computers are moving from the noisy intermediate-scale quantum era into error-corrected systems. Microsoft partnered with Atom Computing to deliver error-corrected quantum computers to Denmark's investment fund and the Novo Nordisk Foundation. IBM's roadmap targets quantum advantage in 2026 with their Quantum Starling system planned for 2029, 200 logical qubits capable of 100 million error-corrected operations. But the real breakthrough is the convergence with AI. Quantum AI hybrid systems combine quantum processors for specific computational tasks with classical GPUs for data processing and neural network training. This symbiosis is unlocking capabilities neither technology could achieve alone. Quantum computers exploit superposition and entanglement. A classical bit is either 0 or 1. A quantum bit or qubit can be both simultaneously until measured. With 1,000 qubits, you can represent 2 to the power of 1,000 states at once. That's a number with over 300 digits. For certain problems, this parallel processing is exponentially faster. The convergence with AI happens at multiple levels. AI optimizes quantum circuits, identifying the most efficient gate sequences. AI accelerates quantum error correction, predicting qubit noise and selecting optimal correction codes. AI provides the classical processing power to interpret quantum results, and quantum accelerates AI's most computationally expensive tasks: optimization, sampling, high-dimensional feature extraction. In 2026, companies are deploying hybrid systems on cloud platforms. IBM Quantum, Ozbreakit, Azure Quantum, and Google Quantum AI offer quantum processors accessible via the cloud, integrated with classical computing infrastructure. Researchers use them for drug discovery, simulating molecular interactions that classical computers can't handle. Financial firms use them for portfolio optimization. Materials scientists design better batteries and catalysts. Climate researchers model complex atmospheric systems. Neutral atom systems from companies like Kuera and Atom Computing achieved arrays of over 6,100 qubits with 99.98% single qubit accuracy, maintaining coherence for 13 seconds, 10 times longer than previous records. Photonic quantum computing demonstrated over 1,000 times speed increases on selected tasks. The market is projected to grow from $1.1 billion in 2025 to $250 billion by 2035, with quantum machine learning contributing $150 billion of that. This is the ultimate brain. Problems that were computationally unreachable, climate models that would take years to run, drug candidates that would take decades to screen, optimization problems with billions of variables are now within reach. But quantum and AI aren't just solving abstract problems. They're discovering drugs, designing materials, and potentially curing diseases that have plagued humanity for millennia. Which brings us to number 6, the revolution in cell therapy that says turning cancer from a death sentence into a manageable condition. Number 6, your immune system is being weaponized against cancer and autoimmune diseases, and it's working. CAR-T cell therapy, where doctors genetically engineer a patient's immune cells to hunt cancer, has been revolutionary for blood cancers since. FDA approvals started in 2017, but 2026 marks a massive expansion. These therapies are now tackling solid tumors, and for the first time, autoimmune diseases. In December 2025, Kyverna Therapeutics announced breakthrough results for their MIV cell therapy in stiff person syndrome, a progressive neurological condition with no approved treatments. 4 months after a single infusion, patients showed a median 46% improvement in walking ability. Over 80% experienced clinically meaningful improvement. The company plans to file for FDA approval in the first half of 2026, which could make this the first CAR-T therapy approved for an autoimmune condition. Meanwhile, TREG cell therapy, which engineers regulatory T cells to calm overactive immune responses, received recognition with the 2025 Nobel Prize in Medicine. The first TREG-based therapies could be FDA approved by 2026 for blood cancers, with trials ongoing for multiple sclerosis and lupus. CAR-T therapy works by harvesting a patient's T cells, the immune system's killers, and genetically modifying them to express chimeric antigen receptors that recognize specific proteins on cancer cells or disease-causing B cells. These engineered cells multiply in the lab, then get infused back into the patient, where they hunt their targets relentlessly. The breakthrough for autoimmune diseases comes from targeting CD19, a protein on B cells. In conditions like lupus, myasthenia gravis, and stiff person syndrome, B cells produce antibodies that attack the body's own tissues. CAR-T cells that target CD19 essentially perform a controlled reset of the B cell population. The diseased B cells are eliminated, and the immune system rebuilds without the autoimmune pathology. What's remarkable? These are one-time treatments, not lifelong medications. Patients in clinical trials have remained symptom-free for years after a single infusion. Kyverna's stiff person syndrome patients stayed off immunotherapy medications completely during the follow-up period. Early lupus trials show similar promise, with patients achieving complete remission. The FDA has also made CAR-T more accessible in 2026. They eliminated the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy requirements, reduced the post-treatment monitoring period from 4 weeks to 2 weeks, and simplified the approval process based on extensive real-world evidence. This makes treatment available at more hospitals, closer to patients' homes. By 2026, 6 CAR-T therapies are FDA approved for blood cancers: Kymriah, Yescarta, Abecma, Breyanzi, Carvykti, and Tecartus, targeting CD19 and BCMA. Survival rates for previously terminal blood cancers have skyrocketed. Patients with no remaining treatment options are achieving complete remission. This is cancer's worst nightmare and autoimmunity's death knell. A single infusion of engineered cells that hunts disease forever. No daily pills, no weekly injections, no lifetime of side effects. Just reset your immune system and walk away. But CAR T therapy edits cells outside the body and reinfuses them. What if we could edit genes directly inside a living person? That's number 5, and it's the most precise genetic surgery ever attempted on human beings. Number 5. In February 2025, a baby named KJ became the first human ever treated with a personalized CRISPR gene therapy designed specifically for him. Not a drug developed for thousands. A custom genetic fix created for one child. KJ was born with severe carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1 deficiency, a rare metabolic disease with a 50% mortality rate in early infancy. His body couldn't break down ammonia, which built up to toxic levels, threatening his brain and life. Between 6 and 7 months of age, KJ received 2 infusions of lipid nanoparticles carrying base editing machinery specifically designed to correct his unique genetic mutation. 7 weeks later, he was tolerating increased dietary protein and needed half the dose of his nitrogen scavenger medication. He's now thriving, growing well, and may soon go home. This represents the world's first patient-specific in vivo gene editing therapy, and it opens a new era in medicine. This isn't the only in vivo gene editing breakthrough. Editas Medicine's Edit -101 for Leber congenital amaurosis type 10, a blinding disorder, became the first in vivo CRISPR therapy in clinical trials, delivered directly to the retina. Beam Therapeutics is advancing base editing therapies for liver diseases. Vertex and CRISPR Therapeutics got Casgevy approved for sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia, though that's still ex vivo editing. Traditional CRISPR-Cas9 cuts both strands of DNA, which can cause unintended mutations. Base editing is different. It chemically converts one DNA letter to another without breaking the DNA double helix, cytosine to thymine, or adenine to guanine. This corrects point mutations, single-letter errors in the genetic code, with far higher precision and fewer side effects. For KJ, researchers at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and Penn Medicine designed custom lipid nanoparticles to deliver the base editing machinery, including Cas9 enzyme and guide, RNAs, directly to his liver cells. The particles fuse with cell membranes, releasing their cargo into the cytoplasm. The editing machinery locates the defective gene, makes the single-letter correction, and degrades naturally within days. The edit is permanent. What makes this revolutionary? It happened in vivo, inside the living body. No need to harvest cells, edit them in a lab, and reinfuse them. The therapy comes to you. This enables treatment of organs that can't be removed, like the brain, heart, and eyes. It enables treatment of genetic diseases that affect cells throughout the body, not just blood cells. By 2026, dozens of in vivo gene editing trials are underway targeting liver diseases, muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, and inherited blindness. Adeno-associated virus vectors and lipid nanoparticles are both showing promise as delivery systems. Researchers are developing dual AAV systems to package larger editing tools and compact Cas variants that fit into single vectors. As of February 2025, about 250 clinical trials globally are testing gene editing therapies, with over 150 actively recruiting. The field encompasses CRISPR-Cas systems, base editors, prime editors, zinc finger nucleases, talons, and more. Blood disorders lead the field, but trials are expanding into cancer, autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular conditions, and neurological disorders. Rewriting your DNA, fixing genetic errors at their source, turning inherited death sentences into curable conditions. This is medicine's endgame, addressing diseases before they cause damage, rather than managing symptoms for a lifetime. Goodbye inherited illnesses. Hello precision medicine for all. But if we can edit the genes that build our bodies, what about connecting directly to the computers that run our world? That's number 4. and it's the human upgrade. Number 4. Paralyzed people are controlling computers with their thoughts. And in 2026, it's going mainstream. On New Year's Eve 2025, Elon Musk announced that Neuralink will start high-volume production of brain-computer interface devices in 2026, transitioning to almost entirely automated surgical procedures. As of September 2025, 12 people with severe paralysis worldwide have received Neuralink implants and are using them to control digital devices and physical tools through thought alone. The first patient, Noland Arbaugh, a 29-year-old quadriplegic, received his implant in January 2024. He now plays video games, browses the internet, posts on social media, and moves a computer cursor using only his thoughts. He achieved information transfer rates exceeding 9 bits per second, double the previous brain interface record. The third patient, Bradford Smith, a man with ALS who is completely paralyzed and relies on a ventilator to breathe, posted on X, "I am typing this with my brain. It is my primary communication. Neuralink isn't alone. Synchron stentrode system, implanted via blood vessels without open brain surgery, is in clinical trials." BlackRock Neurotech has been testing brain implants for 20 years. Paradromics boasts systems recording from over 65,000 neurons simultaneously. The field is accelerating fast. Brain-computer interfaces work by placing ultra-thin electrodes near neurons in the brain. These electrodes detect action potentials, the electrical signals neurons use to communicate. Advanced algorithms decode these signals, translating neural activity into digital commands that control cursors, keyboards, robotic arms, or other devices. Neuralink's device includes a chip about the size of a coin that replaces a small piece of skull. From this chip extend 64 threads, each thinner than a human hair, containing 1,024 electrodes spread across different brain regions. The device communicates wirelessly via Bluetooth to a computer that decodes the signals. A robotic surgical system implants the threads with micron-level precision, avoiding blood vessels. What makes 2026 special? The technology is moving beyond experimental. Neuralink raised $650 million in June 2025. They're expanding trials to centers across 3 countries. The FDA granted breakthrough device designation for vision restoration with their blind sight implant, aimed at restoring vision for completely blind individuals by stimulating the visual cortex. Clinical trials are starting in 2026. They also launched the Convoy trial to test connecting brain chips to robotic arms, potentially restoring physical movement, not just digital control. This could allow paralyzed individuals to feed themselves, get dressed, and regain independence in daily activities. The addressable market is enormous. In the United States alone, approximately 5.4 million people live with paralysis that impairs their ability to use computers or communicate. Globally, millions more suffer from spinal cord injuries, ALS, stroke, and other conditions that could benefit from direct brain-computer communication. This is the human upgrade. Think it, do it. Move a cursor without moving your hand. Type a message without touching a keyboard. Browse the web without lifting a finger. Play games, create art, control your home, drive vehicles, operate machinery, all with pure thought. For able-bodied people, it's augmentation. For people with paralysis, it's liberation. The boundaries between mind and machine are dissolving. But while neural interfaces connect brains to computers, number 3 connects brains to lab dishes for precision neurology. Number 3, scientists can now grow versions of your brain in a dish and test drugs on them before ever giving you a pill. Human cellular models, particularly brain organoids and induced pluripotent stem cells, are revolutionizing neurology in 2026. Researchers can take a patient's skin cells, reprogram them into neurons with that patient's specific genetic background, grow them into 3-dimensional brain tissue structures, and use these models to study how diseases develop and which treatments might work. Mass General Brigham researchers predict that in 2026, human cellular models will become the backbone of precision neurology. These advances now allow scientists to study how genetic background influences neurological diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and rare genetic disorders, and to measure therapeutic response in human-relevant systems that actually reflect the biology of real patients. This is transforming drug development. Instead of testing thousands of compounds on mice and hoping they translate to humans, which fails 90% of the time, researchers test on actual human neurons carrying the patient's disease mutations. They can watch in real time as neurons degenerate, identify the molecular mechanisms, and screen drugs that prevent or reverse the damage. Induced pluripotent stem cells are created by taking adult cells, usually skin fibroblasts, and introducing specific transcription factors that reprogram them back to an embryonic-like state. These pluripotent cells can then differentiate into any cell type in the body, including neurons, astrocytes, and microglia, the main cell types in the brain. Brain organoids take this further. Researchers grow these stem cells in three-dimensional cultures that self-organize into structures resembling regions of the developing brain. These organoids develop layers, neural circuits, and even spontaneous electrical activity. They're not conscious. They're far simpler than real brains, but they're complex enough to model disease processes. For genetic disorders, researchers use CRISPR to correct disease-causing mutations in patient cells, creating genetically matched controls. They can compare neurons with and without the mutation, identifying exactly what goes wrong. For complex diseases like Alzheimer's with multiple genetic risk factors, they model different genetic backgrounds to understand why some people develop disease and others don't. In 2026, pharmaceutical companies are integrating cellular models into drug discovery pipelines. They're screening millions of compounds on patient-derived neurons, identifying leads that actually work in human tissue. They're testing combination therapies, understanding drug interactions, and predicting side effects before clinical trials. This dramatically reduces clinical trial failures. Instead of spending hundreds of millions developing a drug only to discover it doesn't work in humans, researchers validate efficacy in human cells first. They identify responders and non-responders based on genetic background, enabling personalized treatment selection. Your brain in a dish. Testing thousands of treatments without risking your life. Discovering why Alzheimer's plaques form in your neurons specifically. Finding the drug that will work for your genetic variant of Parkinson's. This is neurology, moving from trial and error to precision engineering. Faster cures for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and every neurological disorder. Reduced clinical trial failures. Personalized medicine that actually works. But cellular models only look at one organ at a time. What if we could integrate data from every system in your body simultaneously? That's number 2, the holistic health blueprint. Number 2, your complete biological blueprint is being mapped in real time, and it's ending one-size-fits-all medicine forever. Multiomic integration combines genomics, which sequences your DNA, transcriptomics, which measures which genes are active, proteomics, which identifies all proteins in your cells, metabolomics, which tracks small molecules and metabolic pathways, and epigenomics, which reveals how environmental factors modify gene expression. In 2026, AI platforms are merging these datasets into unified patient profiles that reveal disease at molecular resolution. AstraZeneca and Tempus AI demonstrated in 2025 how contrastive learning can uncover biomarkers that forecast treatment response in cancer immunotherapy. Their predictive biomarker modeling framework improved patient selection in clinical trials, yielding a 15% survival benefit over traditional designs. This framework integrates large language models, generative AI, and traditional machine learning to redefine diagnosis from merely identifying disease to accurately guiding therapeutic decisions. CAS Science Team, analyzing the CAS Content Collection, the largest human-curated repository of scientific information, identifies multi-omic integration as one of the most impactful developments we LLC in 2026. This is about connecting the dots between all biological layers, understanding how genetics, environment, lifestyle, and disease interact. Traditional medicine looks at one variable at a time. You have high cholesterol. Here's a statin. You have cancer. Here's chemotherapy based on tumor type. But diseases are rarely that simple. Cancer isn't just abnormal cells. It's disrupted metabolism, immune suppression, altered gene expression, and protein misfolding, all interacting in complex ways. Multi-omic integration captures this complexity. Researchers sequence a patient's tumor DNA, identifying mutations. They measure which genes are actively transcribed, revealing which pathways are disrupted. They analyze proteins to see which are overexpressed or absent. They track metabolites to understand energy usage and vulnerabilities. They study epigenetic modifications to see how tumor cells evade treatment. AI algorithms integrate these layers, identifying patterns invisible to human analysis. They predict which patients will respond to immunotherapy based on their immune profile, not just tumor type. They design combination therapies targeting multiple vulnerabilities simultaneously. They monitor treatment in real time, detecting resistance before tumors regrow. In 2026, Mass General Brigham, researchers predict that as datasets expand to include sociodemographic, environmental, clinical imaging, and molecular features, new data science methods will model these complex interconnections, deepening our understanding of cardiovascular disease and other conditions, guiding strategies to maximize well-being and health span. This is enabling precision prevention. By analyzing your multi-omic profile, doctors can identify disease risk years before symptoms appear. They can recommend lifestyle changes, preventive medications, or early interventions that stop disease before it starts. Heart attacks, strokes, cancer, diabetes, all potentially preventable with the right data. This is your full health blueprint. Every gene, every protein, every metabolic pathway integrated into one comprehensive view. Better diagnostics that catch disease early. Targeted therapies designed for your biology. Prevention that actually prevents. The end of one-size-fits-all medicine and the beginning of treatments as unique as your DNA. Data is dominating medicine. But there's one technology dominating everything else. The breakthrough that's more powerful than all the others combined. The one that's redefining what intelligence itself means. Number one is the discovery that will define 2026 and reshape every industry on Earth. Number one, AI just stopped asking for permission. It's thinking, planning, and executing complex tasks completely on its own. Welcome to the age of autonomous intelligence. In 2025, we had ChatGPT answering questions. In 2026, we have AI agents that don't just respond, they act. They perceive their environment, reason over complex goals, make decisions, execute multi-step plans, learn from feedback, and adapt their behavior, all without human supervision. This is the shift from generative AI that creates content to agentic AI that accomplishes objectives. Gartner predicts that 40% of enterprise applications will embed AI agents by the end of 2026. Up from less than 5% in 2025. The agentic AI market is projected to surge from $7.8 billion in 2025 to over $52 billion by 2030. This isn't hype. This is production deployment at scale across every major industry. In January 2025, Anthropic released the Model Context Protocol, allowing developers to connect large language models to external tools in a standardized way. This gave models the ability to act beyond generating text, calling APIs, coordinating with other systems, using software tools, and completing tasks independently. By mid-2025, Agentic browsers appeared. Perplexity's Comet, browser companies Dia, OpenAI's tools, systems that don't just help you search. They book your vacation, file your taxes, and manage your schedule. In 2026, these agents are everywhere. In customer service, handling complex inquiries without escalation. In supply chain, rerouting shipments based on real-time conditions. In finance, executing trades and rebalancing portfolios. In research, designing experiments and analyzing results. In healthcare, scheduling appointments and managing patient communication. In logistics, coordinating autonomous loading robots, inspection drones, and inventory systems without humans in the loop. Agentic AI systems operate through perception reasoning action loops. They continuously sense their environment, whether that's data feeds, user interactions, or sensor readings. They analyze context and identify relevant information. They reason over possible actions using planning modules that break complex goals into executable steps. They act by interfacing with tools, APIs, or physical systems. They learn from outcomes, refining their behavior over time. The architecture includes core components, a perception module that ingests and interprets raw data from diverse sources like text, images, video, sensor streams. A planning engine that translates goals into executable plans using large language models or symbolic planners. An action executor that interfaces with tools, APIs, or physical systems to implement planned steps. Memory systems that persist context across sessions. And self-reflective learning engines that adapt behavior based on feedback. What separates 2026 from earlier AI? These agents have long horizon reasoning. They can plan across hours, days, or weeks, not just answer immediate queries. They understand context across multimodal data sources, integrating text, images, structured data, and real-world observations. They operate autonomously, making runtime decisions without constant human oversight. They coordinate with other agents, forming multi-agent systems that divide tasks and collaborate. Companies are reporting 40 to 60% efficiency boosts. Tasks that took human workers hours now take agents minutes. Workflows that required teams of people now run with one human supervising multiple agents. But it's not just speed. Agents reduce errors. They don't get tired or distracted. They scale infinitely. You can deploy thousands simultaneously. They work 24/7 without breaks. They handle routine decisions, freeing humans for strategic thinking. In IT services, autonomous agents manage system monitoring, incident resolution, and performance optimization. In e-commerce, they handle pricing updates, inventory management, and personalized recommendations. In manufacturing, they improve supply chain coordination, demand forecasting, and predictive maintenance. In compliance, they track policy changes, monitor transactions, and detect risks in real time. The pharmaceutical sector is deploying agents for experimental design, literature synthesis, and lab automation. Lilly's kernel system, EPFL's ChemCro, and others show agents making real differences in drug development. Welcome Leap's Q4 Bio program is applying agentic AI to biomedical research with breakthrough results. This is the dawn of true autonomy. AI that doesn't wait for commands. AI that perceives, reasons, acts, learns, and adapts on its own. AI that's not a tool but a coworker, not a program but a partner. But with great power comes complexity. These agents can make mistakes. They can hallucinate, generating confident but incorrect outputs. They can be manipulated through prompt injection attacks. They raise profound questions about accountability. When an agent makes a harmful decision, who's responsible? The developer? The deploying company? The AI itself? Security becomes paramount. In November 2025, Anthropic disclosed how their Claude Code agent had been misused to automate parts of a cyber attic. Leading organizations are implementing bounded autonomy architectures with clear operational limits. escalation paths to humans for high-stakes decisions, and comprehensive audit trails. Some are deploying governance agents that monitor other AI systems for policy violations, and security agents that detect anomalous behavior. A competitive landscape is fierce. Incumbents face the innovator's dilemma: cannibalize existing products or risk disruption by agent-native startups that design experiences where autonomous agents are the primary interface, not supplementary features. Analysts estimate only about 130 of thousands of claimed AI agent vendors are building genuinely agentic systems. The rest are rebranding automation. Looking forward, autonomous systems are expanding beyond digital. Waymo handles over 450,000 weekly paid rides with fully driverless vehicles. Baidu's Apollo Go operates in over 20 cities across China with international expansion. The robotaxi market is projected to explode from $1.95 billion in 2024 to $188.91 billion by 2034. Delivery robots have completed over 500,000 residential deliveries, with plans to expand to 100 additional Walmart stores by 2026. Industry forecasts suggest over 1 million drones will deliver retail goods by 2026. This is the inflection point. 2026 will be remembered not for which models topped benchmarks, but for which organizations successfully bridged the gap from experimentation to scaled production. The technical foundations are mature. The challenge now is execution, governance, and reimagining what becomes possible when autonomous agents are as common in business operations as databases and APIs. AI that runs the show. The revolution isn't coming. It's here. And those who move decisively today will be the ones defining tomorrow's competitive landscape. From solar panels shattering efficiency records to batteries made from common salt. From AI writing code to quantum computers solving the unsolvable. From engineered cells hunting cancer to gene editing saving babies. From brain chips restoring movement to lab-grown neurons modeling disease. From holistic health blueprints to autonomous AI reshaping every industry. These 2026 discoveries aren't just science. They're the future unfolding in real time. They're the breakthroughs that separate the world we knew from the world we're building. They're proof that the impossible becomes inevitable when brilliant minds refuse to accept limits. Which one blew your mind the most? Was it the solar revolution ending fossil fuels? The battery breakthrough freeing us from lithium? The gene therapy saving that baby's life? The brain chips letting paralyzed people think their way to freedom? Or the autonomous AI systems that are literally redefining intelligence itself? Drop a comment below and tell us which discovery matters most to you and why. Are you excited about the medical breakthroughs? Terrified of autonomous AI? Hopeful about renewable energy? We want to hear your perspective. If this video expanded your mind, even a fraction as much as these discoveries expanded the boundaries of human knowledge, then smash that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more curious minds like yours. And absolutely subscribe to Factopia for more deep dives into the science shaping our future. We've got videos coming on space mysteries, quantum physics breakthroughs, genetic engineering frontiers, artificial intelligence evolution, and the climate solutions that could save civilization. What topic should we cover next? Space exploration and the race to Mars? The future of consciousness and brain uploading? Longevity science and the quest to extend human lifespan? Synthetic biology and programmable organisms? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to support the channel and help us create more in-depth science content, there's a tip link in the description. Every contribution goes directly toward research, production, and making these videos as accurate and engaging as possible. 2026 is the year science broke reality. These 10 breakthroughs are just the beginning. Every single one will ripple through society for decades, changing how we generate power, treat disease, process information, and understand intelligence itself. The future isn't something that happens to us. It's something we build, discovery by discovery, breakthrough by breakthrough. And you just witnessed 10 of the most important steps humanity took in 2026. Thanks for joining us on Factopia, where facts come alive and the future becomes clear. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and never stop questioning the limits of what's possible. Because in science, the only real limit is imagination. And as 2026 proves, human imagination is limitless. See you in the future.